Hi everybody, Tim here with tonight's episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 6, Episode 8, A Fistful of Datas. Not dollars, but datas. So just from the title alone, you can tell that this is going to be like a Western shout-out story. So this is a great episode. Once again, it's directed by Patrick Stewart, so kudos to him. As good of an episode as this is, I kind of wish he had done more stuff. So if Patrick Stewart ever watches this, you could still direct like Orville or Discovery or something, because it would be great to see you direct again. So from the very first part about this episode, like the teaser, if you will, the pre-credits, we see Picard and he's playing the flute from Inner Light, which I love because if you watch that video, I talked about how it's such a beloved episode, and I like how they kept it in the continuity. They didn't say like, you know what, that was a good episode, let's forget about it. No, they keep referencing it, and this isn't the last time we see the flute or it plays a major part in an episode. But it's a great scene where Picard just wants to sit there and play his flute and do his recording, and people just keep ringing his bell and coming in there and talking to him. And we finally get to the last visitor, and it's Worf. And Worf's always doing his over-the-top duties where he's trying to get work done and do stuff. And Picard's like, dude, just take a day off. Like, it's fine. And so Worf goes back to his quarters. Picard presumably gets his playing done. And he sits down and he's just defeated because he has to go to work. And you're like, this is just... Or he has to take time off because he's done. And then you realize that he wanted to go to work because Alexander wanted to go to the holodeck, and he didn't want to play with Alexander, which is kind of a dick move. But I don't know, it fit. It was kind of funny because, I mean, we've all been there where we're just like, oh, forget this. I want to go to work to escape. But so it was kind of funny. So it turns out that Alexander has created a holodeck program that he wanted to do with his father and just kind of have fun. And it's Deadwood, 19th century Earth, Ancient West, which I love how it's the Ancient West instead of just the Old West like we call it, because it's like 500 years in the future. And so at first Worf is like, this is just dumb, but he realizes, so Worf is the sheriff and Alexander's the deputy, and then he's like, we're in law enforcement, and it gets a little bit more interesting. Now, while all of this is going on, what starts as a subplot begins where Geordi is plugging data into the Enterprise computer. And it's a really kind of cute moment, because we've seen Data and Geordi talk about how Data views him as a friend, because if Geordi ever went away, his neural whatever will miss Geordi. And Geordi's like, this is hard for me to see you because you're not just some technological piece of equipment. And Data's like, well, I don't see you as a usual organic life form. And it's a cute moment. And while this is going on, Data comments that Geordi kind of has a shadow going on. I have a beard, so I don't know what I'm saying. He kind of has a shadow going on. And he says, like, it appears that you are attempting to grow another beard. And that's kind of a reference to the Outcast episode where Geordi had like a full beard. And it's interesting because he's growing it in this episode, and he actually has a beard in the next episode. So I like how they kept that in the continuity again, where it was something we saw, and now we're seeing it again. And they mentioned that like flat out. So I liked it. And he just kind of goes with it. It's like, whatever. So we now know that Data is in the Enterprise computer. And so we go back to the holodeck where now there's a really funny little scene where they see a saloon girl up on top, like flirting with them. And Worf's like, you wrote this program? Well, Mr. Barclay helped. And I love how they included Barclay in the continuity. This whole episode has a lot of little shout outs here and there. And because I love Dwight Schultz and I think he's a great actor and I love all the Barclay episodes. So I like how they actually went out of their way to reference, hey, just because you don't see him every single episode, he is still here. So I thought that was kind of a cool shout out. So from here, Counselor Troi joins. And what a fucking badass. Like, she is great, where she plays the stranger. I don't know how true it is, but I guess Michael Dorn was a little worried that she was going to overplay him, because this is kind of a Michael Dorn episode, and he was worried that Troi was going to outclass the character, which I think it's great. And I think it's interesting that they have Troi and Worf together, because, like I've said, I don't know if the writers knew what they were doing, but we keep seeing them together, and then when we get to the next season, they're actually in a relationship together. So I feel like this is a little bit of those shout-outs, those little seeds getting planted throughout the series. Now, during all of this, the Enterprise starts going wrong, and little things keep popping up. We see Riker and Crusher doing rehearsals, and he starts quoting Ode to Spot, which we just had heard Data reciting like 3 episodes ago, if that. And then just little things here and there, like Data's voice starts changing, and he says reckon and y'all, which I'm from the South, so I'm going to try really hard for my accent not to come out. And from during the holodeck, we now see Data start popping up in these characters. And it turns out, and Picard's music starts changing to whatever Data was listening to. The food replicators just start putting out cat food because that's all Data uses them for, is food for Spot. And now Troi, Worf, and Alexander are in the holodeck, and Data starts popping up. I've said it over and over again, Brent Spiner is a brilliant actor. He is so good. And to see him in these little characters, like as the son, as the outlaw dad, and then he starts showing up as all the different side characters, and then finally the saloon woman at the end, Brent Spiner can do no wrong. He is such a good actor. And like this whole episode just kind of snowballs down into this, where they have to figure out how to cleanse the Enterprise of Data's personality and put everything right, which the safety protocols were shut off in the holodeck as well. So they have to, like, Worf gets shot in the arm, and they basically have to cleanse everything. It's Star Trek, so of course they do, but it leads to a lot of really good drama and really, really good acting. Like, I think this episode was really well done. Like I said, it was well written, it was well acted, and thank you to Patrick Stewart because it was well directed. And kind of my favorite shot of this was, because it's a Western, how do all Westerns end? The cowboy riding off into the sunset. And this episode ends with the Enterprise going towards a planet with the sun kind of setting or rising, can't really tell, in the front of it. And it's a beautiful shot. Like, I want to see if I can find it online to make it like a wallpaper or something, because it's a beautiful shot. So for those who have seen this one, like, I normally don't do Westerns, just my personality, but this one was really well done. For those who have seen this one, did you guys like it? Did you not like it? Did you like Patrick Stewart's directing? I'm not even going to ask if you like Brent Spiner's acting, because of course he's great. Go ahead, let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for everything, and I will see you guys next time for The Quality of Life.